spirit's message is of the heart. Human message is more of the blood, and that. But this is a spiritual message.
This man, Tisziji Muñoz, kills me. That's all I can say. So when he calls, I say, what time?
It's very alive and very open and expressive and purging for me.
Basically, even from the first time I met him, I always told him, if you want me to play, I'll be there. It doesn't matter if it pays or it doesn't pay, because it always pays in spirit greatly. It's food for the soul to play with Tisziji.
It just always seems to make so much sense when he starts talking, as well as playing, for that matter. It's like it's beyond playing the guitar, though. It's a spiritual adventure, I should say.
I'm Tisziji Muñoz. That's last name is of the Hispanic, heritage. Yes. The Tisziji name is the name that I was given in the temple, so I use it. So it's a spiritual name. So yeah, I don't feel that I'm as much a terrestrial as a lot of other people. Are comfortable to associate themselves with. I feel I'm a spirit in this body, but not necessarily related to the earth. You know what I mean? Except in service to the earth. And that's it. And not really of it. Of the earth. Visiting the planet. Yeah, that's my view. I'm visiting this planet. And so I've taken a birth amongst the Hispanic people, native people really. I don't even call it Hispanic, it's native people who are close to the earth and close to the wind and the sun, close to the atoms that we're created of. And I like to play from my understanding of not only the human, but the angelic realms that we descend from. And that's my view. I feel we descend from angelic realms.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah. So, I think people are interested in the relevance of, let's say, musical lines and inheritance. So I say I have very strong Afro-Cuban or Afro-Puerto Rican or Afro-Caribbean roots, basically, very much so. But that is not to say that's the source of where I'm coming from. Again, I'm an interplanetary spirit, so I would use that. That's not what I am, that's what I use. Okay, you dig? I'm a spirit, so I use the blood to express spirit's message, not the blood's message. You know what I mean? Spirit's message is of the heart. Human message is more of the blood. And that. But this is a spiritual message. So that's my source of idea. Or identification. Go on.
And that's where the music comes from.
The music deals with human levels of knowledge, human levels of experience. Certainly, it's within the musical domain. It's within the human domain. But I think for those who can hear, it is addressing that, but it is not about that. It's addressing that. That is to say, it's music that's coming in to reflect our true spiritual heritage, transcendent of the earth, geography, particular ethnicity, and the rest of that. Things that, those appearances that separate people. When we are really spirits, we share one heart. As a spirit, we share one heart. And as a spirit, there's one religion, and that's love. So that's it. And the only place of worship, from my view, is the heart. That's where you worship. That's the church. And the other church is whatever you make it. It may be any other church is maybe beside the point. Mm-hmm. That's where it is. That's where it comes from. I believe that's where the God power works through in this world. The spirit through the human heart. When I'm playing, it's like I let the universal spirit speak. So that means it's not about time. So ritmo is irrelevant to it. I was born into time. I had to master time as a child in order to progress into space. See? You work from the material to the spiritual. Thus you work from the time element, which is a certain kind of concretization of spirit, and a sequential version of change. You know, matter, material changing in time, through time. And progression is thus measured through that. But we work through progression for those who need to work through progression to understand spirit, because you come, you're born, and you live, and then you return to your origin. You go back to source, see, which is always the heart. See? So that to me is what this particular music's about. It's not about Hispanic this or Hispanic that, or African this or African that. It's not about earth this or earth that. It's about spirit, absolute and only spirit. See? And so, yeah, I work through different forms. Of course, I know songs, but this is not about songs. This is about its song, which is all songs and no song. And thus, it is about silence. So when I speak and I move through the universe of melodies and ideas, musically speaking, I'm really talking about silence and our origin in silence. And so we have to remember silence, part of it. You know, the source of music, the source of life. And silence is what some people call God, or what I would call love. See, it's free. So, you know, I don't know if that answers your question or not. I don't know if you have.
Absolutely. It
Okay.
answers not only my question, but it answers a lot of questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's where this music's coming from.
How's volume and things?
Good. Yeah. So I think that has a lot to do with the music, regardless of the forms I use. You still taping?
Yes.
Yeah. So regardless of the forms become irrelevant. So I'm not here to speak for any people. I'm here to speak for all people, or the heart of all people. And that to me is what wisdom is. It's what the truth is. And if we can, as humans, come up to that level of responsibility to be pure spirit, I think that's what we're here to do. Because if you don't do it when you're alive, you will do it when you die. You know what I mean? You'll enter that domain of spirit, or invisibility, or non-appearance, transcendence, see? Which is our true nature, everything. It's from that, about that, and returns to that which is beyond.
Start by possibly saying your relationship to Tisziji, why you work with him, why you're here, where it came from, where it's going.
This man, when I was 19 years old, right after first year college in Toronto, just came across him playing guitar in the village up there in Toronto, walking home early in the morning after being out all night. Walked past Cat playing guitar, sitting on a stoop playing these melodies. I walked about 5 steps, and I heard it. I turned around immediately, walked right back, and said to him, what are you doing? How do you do that? And we introduced each other, and within about 5 seconds we were walking, finding a piano, going to a piano that very morning. And we played together that morning, into the morning. I found a piano over at the college where I was going, in a little practice room. And we have been playing together ever since. I started playing with him right at that time, and I knew nothing about the kind of music that he was doing. But he became my mentor at the time. I was in college, really with no musical output, no musical outlet, or output, of course. I was trying to be an academic and getting depressed, not knowing what I was going to do with my life, not feeling right in college. But after this point, meeting early in the morning, I started apprenticing with him, and he really, he was putting together a group in Toronto. And we had a trumpet player and a drummer and me and him. That was it. So I had to play bass, left-hand bass mostly, on organ, and comping for him. And he started me out really on standards. Because I was a stone rock and roll player, but he started teaching me jazz standards, standards which were really popular tunes of the day in the 40s, say, the jazz masters of that time used to improvise over. He was teaching me those tunes, which I couldn't really play. I knew them all, actually, from my parents, but couldn't really play them. Didn't know those more sophisticated type of harmonies. He showed them to me. Started me really learning about that, and then took me outside with him once I had learned a little of that. All these complicated chords that he showed me, then all of a sudden there's no chords, just play. You know, and that's the kind of music we ended up playing in Toronto. He had compositions, those structures, sometimes they'd be out of time, though, sometimes in time. But often just modal playing over one chord, and then of course every chord the way he does it, you know. But he taught me anything I know about that type of music, and about even, you know, although I never really learned how to play bebop, but anything I know about that era he taught me as well. And he still is the most phenomenal player I've ever run across. And I have played with, you know, so many of the guitar greats, and there are some, you know, awfully great ones out there. But this man, Tisziji Muñoz, kills me. That's all I can say. So when he calls, I say, what time?
I'm Don Pate, and I'm originally from Chicago. And I met Tisziji many years ago, playing the bass. He used to live not far from here, very near the Bowery. And I always remember going to his house and taking off my shoes and him giving me incense and usually drinking some kind of fruit juice. And since then, I mean, many years have gone by, and we've made a lot of music with a lot of different people. And I'm here tonight because he asked me.
What does the music mean with playing with Tisziji in comparison to just any other situation? What is the music? Where does it go? What's it about?
It's very alive and very open and expressive and purging for me. You can really bring whatever you want to the music and walk away, at least I walk away inspired or recharged or healed in some fashion, you know. So it's not an ordinary gig at all. The music that we play is more of an emotional journey, experience that it's not fixed in any way. If it's fixed in any way, then it's fixed to be an adventure, you know. So it's a journey. I mean, you start someplace, you go someplace, you go anywhere, you go everywhere. But it's not about one set of changes or one page or X number of bars, you know. But this is just another sphere. It's another atmosphere. It's another setting, another frame, you know.
With meeting Tisziji, per se, how did that change your music?
Well, what he does is he brings something that's both special and spiritual that, I mean, it's almost entirely unexpected.
Well, I'm Ra-kalam, which means the inaudible sound of the invisible sun. And I've been knowing Tisziji for at least 20 years or so. Through the music, I always responded to the power of his music, and I knew from the very first that he was a very special person with extreme power and light. And in the last few years, I finally got around to coming to him as a teacher separate from the music, as a spiritual teacher, and kind of officially accepted him that way. Basically, I asked for help, which I never had done before, and that's really changed a lot since then, you know, and from that point on, he's laid a lot more on me, which is good stuff. He could have told me that before, but he never put anything on me. He waited until I came to him for that purpose. And since that time, there's really been incredible growth in my life in terms of losing the self, I guess, and burning karma, not carrying so much baggage and pain, and being light, and basically adopting a yogic lifestyle. And I feel that I'm on a path to mastery, certain kind of spiritual mastery, which is really separate from the music, but of course affects the music big time. So I feel like my playing has really changed a lot. It's a lot more powerful and full of light and open. And basically, even from the first time I met him, I always told him, if you want me to play, I'll be there. It doesn't matter if it pays or it doesn't pay, because it always pays in spirit greatly. You know, it's food for the soul to play with Tisziji. So fortunately, he does call me from time to time, and this is a very special event because he plays very infrequently, as you know, very infrequently. So it's very special for the people who understand, who are open to spirit, to have a master come down to earth and put it out there on the guitar so we can all hear it, you know. Because I'm sure there are other spiritual masters, but they might be up on a mountain in Tibet somewhere, you know. This guy come right down in the street and play it for you, you know, and there's nobody else like that, as far as I know. Playing with Tisziji is a spiritual experience, and by spiritual, I guess, I mean free. You know, it's about freedom and being free from mechanical patterns, free from karmic patterns, free from culturated patterns that we come up with if you're black or Latino or Jewish or whatever, free of all of that, basically. It's really coming from zero. So it's hard to predict what the music will actually be, except that it will be from the heart. You know, all the music is from the heart. Some people would, you know, categorize it as out or avant-garde or free or something, but that really misses the point, you know, because it's not mental music. I guess the best way to describe, or to sum up Tishiji's program is the what he calls the great equation, which is no self, no thought, no mind, no body. So if you can imagine music coming from that kind of place, that's what you'll hear. The other aspect, though, is that we are all, to a certain extent at least, musical masters. So when you get people who are really masters of music who are not playing from self, that's a beautiful thing and a very unusual thing. You really don't hear that much. So I think the reason we're playing is because the world needs that. It's a mercy mission, really. I mean, Tisziji, I know, does not play from any need of himself to play. You know. It's really for others who have the need, and some people who may not know they need, you know, and that's okay, you know, that's okay. It's important, no matter how many people come or no matter how many people hear it, it's important work, this I know.
I'm John Lockwood, I'm a bass player. I met Tisziji, wow, about 15 years ago with Bob Moses. And it's been a growing thing for me, because whenever I get with Tisziji, I feel something beyond just playing music. There's a spiritual thing that he seems to dig out of me. And whenever I leave, I always feel really uplifted and almost cleansed in a sense. So whenever I get involved in these different recordings and gigs we've done, which has been sporadic over the years, it's always new and always growing, and I always feel like I'm learning more and more as we go.
And what are you playing tonight?
I'm playing bass tonight with this two bass players, Don, Pate and myself. We're both playing kind of with each other.
And How long have you been playing music?
I've been in the business while playing for almost over 30 years.
When your music began, how long into it did you meet Tisziji, and how did that change your music?
When I was in my, I had to be in my late 30s. I'd been living here, and I'd moved back to Boston, and Bob hooked up a recording session in a kind of a memorial to John Coltrane, and he brought all these people that were greatly influenced and affected by John Coltrane, and that's when I first met Tisziji. And at that point he was kind of doing Bob's project, but then there was this whole other thing that when we started playing together, I started hearing his tunes, and he was telling me all these beliefs and philosophies, and it just always seems to make so much sense when he starts talking, as well as playing, for that matter. It's like it's beyond playing the guitar, though. It's a spiritual adventure, I should say.
What did it do personally for your music?
Well, it makes me grow and makes me stop. A lot of times as a musician you tend to worry about things that have nothing, that you shouldn't really be worrying about, like even if people, what they think and that kind of thing. And Tisziji seems to take me beyond that, where I'm just playing for the moment, and like how we should really live our lives, actually. Just live to the moment, which is difficult at times, but he seems to bring me there every time we connect.
What did it do to your specific music?
Well, I can feel it when I'm even playing, say, some straight ahead job where there's a certain requirement. I feel that a little bit of that freedom creeping in there. So even though there's that requirement, I'm approaching it in another angle with more of a Tisziji type vibe, even though I'm still fulfilling the commitment to what they want me to do.
And so what should we anticipate from tonight?
Well, it's going to be interesting because I've never played with Paul Shaffer before. I've played with everyone else, and we're not quite sure what we're going to do. We've got some ideas, so we're going to, and I know it's going to be great. We'll all come together. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.